The hum of the server rack was the only sound in the late hours of the GIS office, a low, steady thrum against the backdrop of an otherwise silent city. Elias Thorne, a man whose life revolved around lines and contours, was deep into a legacy map digitization project. He loved the meticulous work, the slow, patient transfer of history from brittle paper to glowing pixels. Tonight, his focus was on a section of rural coastline from a pre-war topographical survey, an unremarkable stretch of land in the Pacific Northwest, long since developed. Yet, as the old paper map shimmered into digital form, Elias noticed an anomaly. A small, faint cluster of buildings, a settlement, barely distinguishable, marked with a name that seemed to dissolve even as he focused on it. Oakhaven, it whispered from the fading ink. He cross-referenced it with modern satellite imagery, geological surveys, even historical census data. Nothing. No roads, no ruins, no record of Oakhaven. It was as if the data itself had decided, a place that simply wasn't there. Elias, a creature of precise data and verifiable facts, felt a prickle of unease. This wasn't a surveyor's error. The old map, though faded, was from a reputable survey, meticulously drawn. A quick search of the National Archives for Oakhaven, Pacific Northwest, yielded only blank pages, digital errors, or references to entirely different locales. He expanded his search, delving into obscure local histories, old property deeds, even forgotten newspaper archives from nearby towns. Weeks turned into months. The name, Oakhaven, became an obsession. He found fragments, a brief mention in a county council meeting from 1938 regarding a proposed road through the Oakhaven Valley. Then, silence. A black hole in the historical record. Every subsequent map, every official document, every land registry entry simply skipped over that specific geographical point. It was as if a careful, deliberate hand had reached into the past and plucked a single thread from the tapestry of existence, leaving an absence that screamed louder than any presence. The more he searched, the more profound the silence grew around Oakhaven. Driven by an unsettling curiosity, Elias took leave from his work. He traveled to the general area where Oakhaven should have been, guided by the precise coordinates from the pre-war map. The landscape itself offered no immediate answers. Dense, second-growth forest now covered the slopes, punctuated by the occasional logging road that led nowhere in particular. The air was thick with the scent of damp earth and pine needles. He walked for days, navigating by GPS and the ghost of an old map, pushing through underbrush, following the faint indentations of what might have once been a path. Then, almost imperceptibly, he started to find them. Faint, unnatural clearings in the forest, a strange regularity to the tree lines, and then a rectangular stone foundation, almost swallowed by moss and ferns. A single rusted iron hinge still clung to a collapsed doorframe. No grand ruins, no towering structures, just whispers of human habitation, slowly being reclaimed by the wild, as if the land itself had forgotten it. There were no markers, no plaques, no indication that a community had ever thrived here. Just a deep, unsettling quiet. Elias sought out the oldest residents of the nearest small towns, people with memories that stretched back before the war. He showed them the faint image of Oakhaven from his digitized map, spoke the name softly. Most shrugged, their eyes distant, claiming no knowledge. But a very few, their expressions would flicker. An old woman, her hands gnarled by time, once clutched his arm and whispered, "They took 'em all, like a bad dream." She refused to elaborate, her gaze darting to the window as if expecting someone. An old logger, scarred and weathered, simply spat on the ground when Elias mentioned the name, muttering, "Some things are best left buried, by the government or by God." No one would speak of what happened, only that something did. The consensus, if it could be called that, was not of a natural disaster or a simple economic decline. It was of an intervention, a clearing out, a systematic scrubbing from the collective memory, enforced by a silence so profound it felt like a command. The village hadn't just vanished, it had been eradicated. The theories Elias painstakingly pieced together were as fragmented and unsettling as the evidence itself. Was Oakhaven a victim of a secret government land acquisition, perhaps for a classified military project that required absolute secrecy? A remote testing ground for something unknown? Or perhaps it was a community that harbored a dark secret of its own, something so profoundly disturbing that the authorities decided the easiest solution was not to expose it, but to erase it entirely, to make it as though it had never existed. A mass disappearance, covered up and then systematically removed from all records, leaving no trace for anyone to follow. The implication was chilling. Entire lives, histories, memories, deemed inconvenient, dangerous, or simply expendable. The silence around Oakhaven wasn't merely the passage of time, it was a carefully constructed void, a testament to an unspoken power that could rewrite reality itself. What unspeakable event transpired there, powerful enough to merit such a complete erasure? Elias Thorne eventually returned to his GIS office, but the precise lines and contours of his maps no longer held the same comfort. He had found Oakhaven, or at least the ghost of it. He had walked its unseen paths, touched its crumbling foundations, and felt the chilling silence where human lives once flourished. But he had not found why. The official records remained stubbornly blank, the whispers of the oldest residents fading with each passing year. Oakhaven exists now only in the faint, digital ghost of an old map, and in the quiet, insistent questions that plague Elias's mind. It is a testament to how easily our past can be manipulated, how fragile our collective memory truly is. What other places, what other stories have been quietly plucked from existence, leaving only a blank space on the map. And sometimes the most profound mysteries are not about what happened, but what was allowed to be forgotten. The precise coordinates of Oakhaven remain a blank, haunting spot, forever asking, who decided it never existed?